Navy, Air Force, and Marines.
The hearing of the Subcommittee on Tactical and Land Forces will come to order. Good afternoon. The Tactical Air and Land Forces Subcommittee meets today in open session to receive testimony from each of the 4 military services on the impacts of sequestration and the Continuing Resolution, known as CR, on acquisition programs in the associated industrial base. For over 2 years now, this committee has held numerous hearings on the impact of sequestration to our national security and attempts to try to capture some of the decision-making and the effects on our national security. We've warned of the catastrophic impact sequestration would have on the military's capabilities if it was allowed to continue. I voted against sequestration because I believe that it would happen and its effects might be devastating. Since sequestration began on March 1st, we've seen dramatic effects on military force readiness, such as the grounding of 17 Air Force combat squadrons, reductions in force squadrons, training exercise reduced, modernization programs curtailed, and the furloughs of Department of Defense civilians. In my district alone, we saw the furlough of roughly 12,000 hardworking men and women from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. If left unchecked, I fear that many of these employees could lose their jobs permanently. I raise this particular point at this hearing because many of these individuals work in acquisition community and are directly linked to the Air Force modernization. The hearing today will focus on the effect sequestration is having on DoD's investment accounts. That is, those accounts for procurement and research and development acquisition programs. Thus far, the effect on the investment accounts has been much less apparent, but we believe this to be a false sense of security. If sequestration continues, DoD investment and modernization will be impacted, and those impacts are expected to grow exponentially in fiscal years 2014 and 2015. This hearing will focus on those impacts. Through the end of fiscal year 2013, the Government Accountability Office has reported to the subcommittee that approximately 30% of sequestered funding for investment accounts has been taken from prior year unobligated funds. Additionally, some funding requirements for fiscal year 2013 have been pushed into fiscal year 2014, creating must-pay bills during this fiscal year. These actions have allowed the Department to only delay the effects of sequestration on investment for fiscal year 2013. Beginning in fiscal year 2014, the situation will be different. Although sequestration is an approximate 9% decrease to the Department's budget, because military pay and wounded warrior programs will not be subject to sequestration decreases, other accounts, primarily the investment accounts, will have to make up the difference. Unlike last year, funds from unobligated balances have now been used up, and the must-pay delayed bills from fiscal year 2013 are also now due. This means that investment accounts are likely to see an approximate 14% decrease in fiscal year 2014. If this continues into fiscal year 2015, the combined impacts will continue to increase, affecting every acquisition program and thus severely impacting future readiness, the defense industrial base, as well as leading to possible program terminations. Last month, the committee received testimony from the 4 service chiefs about the near and long-term effects that sequestration will have on the total force, and their remarks were sobering. Today, I expect to hear in very clear terms how investment and modernization will be impacted in fiscal year 2014 and beyond should sequestration continue. We need to provide better clarity as to the consequences of these budget cuts and help make the case to Congress and the nation as to why sequestration needs to be fixed. I'd like to welcome our distinguished panel of witnesses. We have at the beginning of our panel, Ms. Shu, Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. Then we have Lieutenant General James O. Barkley, the 3rd Deputy Chief of Staff, G8. Representing the Navy and Marine Corps, we have Mr. Sean J. Stackley, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Assistant Secretary of the Navy Research, Development, and Acquisition, RDA. We have Vice Admiral Alan G. Myers, Deputy Chief of Naval Operations, Integration of Capabilities and Resources in 8. We have Lieutenant General Glenn M. Walters, Deputy Commandant for Programs and Resources, and representing the Air Force, we have Dr. Bill LaPlante, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition. We also have Lieutenant General Michael Moeller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Strategic Plans and Programs. I want to thank you all for being here, and I have had the opportunity to speak with each of you. I'm